Ooh! Oh hey guys, one of the best in the game, Jizz back at it, and in this video I'm going to be revealing the 15 best mid laners of the new 11.11 patch, which is now just 1 week away. So which champions are going to give you the best chance of carrying and winning a game? Well, you're going to have to stay tuned, aren't you? Now, as you're letting me know in the comments which champion you think should be number 1 on this countdown, can you do the Jizz a massive favor? Sign up to the GameLeap website! If you're someone who thinks they are 10 times better than they actually are, then why are you in silver, bro? If you really want to improve and escape the depths of Elo hell, our site is the number 1 on the web. A ton of fresh challenger content at your fingertips. Links as always in the description and comment section. Alright, so let's get into it guys, and starting off the countdown we have to talk about a mage who has recently been buffed and then nerfed, and also has benefited from a couple of item changes, and this is Vladimir. And though your blood sucking might not be as strong as it was a couple of patches ago because you were blood sucking more often with that Q cooldown, even though it's a little bit higher now, you're still sucking as much blood as you were, and that is thanks to the new Hextech Rocket Belt, and this gives you guys one of the strongest mythic power spikes in the game, and Vladimir, as we all know, is one of the great scalers. Well, even at just 1 or 2 items with Sorcerer's Shoes and your Rocket Belt, this gives you the early timid game that you actually really need to survive in this meta and to actually carry, because yes, mythic power spikes are one of the big turning points in any game. Now, next patch, nothing is really changing that much for you, and this is a good thing. Now, of course, you still have to be a little bit careful in those early levels, especially when you use your pool, so don't use this too liberally. Now, okay, Phase Rush was a little bit of a hit, but the thing is, guys, like Vladimir still has one of the highest win rates in the game, and this is because of his offensive power. Yes, okay, you're a little more vulnerable in the early game, so that's why it's really important to hold onto your pool and to use it at the right time, so don't just use it, too liberally. But yes, Vladimir starting off this countdown, the one-shot potential, the damage, it's still all there. Now, ahead of Vladimir, guys, is another mage, and this one is the tankiest on this list. So if you want to play a really consistent mid laner who is always going to have an impact on a game, this is Galio. And for Galio, guys, okay, now your taunt is a flat second cooldown because of the nerf, but has this really changed that much? Honestly, not really. Okay, so in those late game team fights where you might get a couple of taunts off, now you're only getting 1 taunt off, and this might mean you're getting 1 or 2 less kills a game. Really though? It's probably not even that much. And all of the strengths that you did have, guys, they're all still there. Your wave clear, your setup, you have a shield, your ultimate, of course, which is always going to make you useful even if you're running it down in the mid lane, and you're also a great counter to assassins because of that pushing power. You can just push in waves with your Q and your passive, and you become the one who's going to roam around the map and carry games. Now, speaking of roaming, guys, well, next patch, one of the best AD assassins in the game, Kiana, is going to be worse at roaming because your W is getting nerfed, so your movement speed when you're holding onto a terrain is down. That is true. But for Kiana, guys, you have one of the highest base movement speeds in the game anyway, so this really isn't going to have that much of an impact. Yes, it will have an impact, but it's going to be pretty minimal. And if we think about Kiana as well, guys, well, think about Prowler's Claw, think about Serpent's Fang. These 2 items, in fact, just Prowler's Claw and then Lucidity Boots, like the Vladimir Hextech Rocket Belt power spike, this is even better. Your single target damage is super high, especially after the buffs earlier in the season, and even your AoE now is so much better, and you can pull off some red hot combos with the Prowler's Claw active, and of course your own abilities and flash. Now, in the first couple of levels, you are pretty weak. You might have to play passive, especially into ranged matchups, but once you hit level 3, you have some of the highest kill potential out of any champion on the Rift. And as I said, once you get to that Prowler's Claw spike, once you get Serpent's Fang, which is going to be even more useful now because you're seeing more Lulus and Karmas and shields in the game, so Kiana comes in at number 13. Now, ahead of Kiana, guys, we have a champion who's only really on this list because all of the tank items, well, not all of them, most of them, are getting buffed, and tank champions, guys, in the top lane and in the jungle usually have really good ultimates. So if you think of Malphite, if you think of Sejuani, if you think of Gnar, if you think of Sion, all of these tank champions have a lot of CC in their ultimate. Well, think about a champion who steals ultimates. It's Sylas, right? And next patch with Randuin's buff, you've got Warmog's buff, you've got Frozen Heart buff, you're going to see more tank champions, which means locking in Sylas has more value. Now, ahead of Sylas, guys, we have another one of those champions who loves a bit of the Rocket Belt power spike because of the magic penetration, and this is Echo, who's actually very similar to Vladimir, right? Like, your early game really isn't that strong, but once you get to that mythic spike, guys, especially with Sorcerer's Shoes, it is one of the deadliest combinations in the game, and you are going to start one-shotting champions. Even though Lich Bane has been nerfed since the new shop came in, guys, and Zhonya's has been nerfed as well, 2 of your core items, Echo has still maintained one of the highest win rates in the mid lane, and that's because he still does a lot of damage, he's very hard to kill as well, he has good wave clear, he has pretty much everything you want, he even has setup with his W, so in that solo queue environment, he is one of the most ideal mid laners to pick, and you certainly won't be wasting your time. Now, another mid laner, guys, who works like a charm, if you're a fan of Tails, not really sure if that's a fetish, but yeah, if you are, you're gonna love Ahri in the mid lane, guys, and Ahri with Everfrost is one of the best combinations again. The rude and the slow, this allows you to land your charm and set up kills for you and your teammates, and it's important to realize this season, guys, Ahri isn't that AP assassin that we all grew up to love, right? She's more of a control mage who works around around setting up kills for her teammates and making plays, rather than actually just going in and blowing one target up and getting out really quickly. This is why Everfrost is now the preferred mythic rather than something like Luden's Tempest, which is going to give you more burst damage. And after that Everfrost, guys, you can get Cosmic Drive, you can get Zhonya's Hourglass. Again, just a very hard champion to kill, just like Silas, just like Echo. So Ahri makes it into another top mid laner's countdown. Now this next mid laner, guys, if you want someone who's a bit better at hard carrying, well, you guys are going to love Talon. And even though Talon got nerfed last patch, guys, so his Q's AD ratio, okay, this means that in the late game you're going to be dealing a little less damage, but still, you have all the damage you still need to one-shot enemy squishy champions. And just like Kiana, guys, one of the big reasons for this is that Prowler's Claw power spike, which gives you the most lethality in the game, and for each major item you get after that point, you are getting lethality because of Prowler's Claw mythic passive. So when you jump on that enemy target with that Prowler's Claw active and you ult, you W, you Q, you ignite, and then you E away, they are 100% gone skis. This season has also been pretty kind to Talon, guys, because of the W buffs, so your wave clear is even better and your poke and harass in lane. So Talon makes it in at number 9. Now this next champion, okay, you don't want to play an AD assassin, but you want to play an AP assassin, well, I've got the champion for that. And this is Ikari, guys, and just like Echo, just like Vladimir, one of the reasons, if not the major reason you are one of the strongest mid laners is because of that spike with Hextech Rocket Belt and Sorcerer's Shoes. Of course, the magic penetration is all you need. But what you also have on these other mid laners, guys, is that you have a couple of other viable mythic items. You can go Riftmaker, which is now better because you're getting to the max stacks quicker, and in those short trades, even in the long trades, you're going to do more damage. And you also have Night Harvester as well, which is going to give you a nice bit of burst. So whichever route you choose, guys, you are going to be effective. Now in the early game, you are certainly weaker, especially against ranged champions, you can cop it. But the thing is, guys, the new Ikari with the Q changes, at level 6 onwards, you are one of the scariest champions. Now like these other assassins, guys, it's important to understand that in the early game, you're probably not going to get really that many kills. So what you're really waiting for on Ikari, guys, is level 3 maybe, depending on the matchup and how the lane is going, but especially level 6, and from this point onwards, this is when you're really scary. Just remember though, guys, that when you are playing Ikari, you use your passive, please. This is the big difference between the best Ikari players in the world and the rest, so make sure you use that passive damage. Now, if you're enjoying this series, guys, if you want the mid laners, best mid laners countdown to continue, make sure to like the video to let us know. And coming in ahead of Ikari, guys, well, we have a similar champion, and this is Katarina, who has been outperforming Ikari across the board this season, and surprisingly, well, kind of unsurprisingly actually, because of how good she is, has one of the highest mid lane win rates in the game. And it's pretty scary on a champion like Katarina because she is played a lot, so there are going to be new players and novices playing her, so that kind of just goes to show how strong she is. Now, why is this? Well, first of all, the Nash's Toothrush is really powerful because of that on hit, and because Riot put on hit in your kit at the start of the season, this means you're just hitting harder, and the 100 AP comes in handy as well, as does the attack speed, which helps with your bad wave clear. And then we also have the Riftmaker buff, guys, from 11-10, which again, as I said for Ikari, you're getting to those max stack quicker, so you're going to be dealing more damage in those short trades, those long trades, so going from 5 to 10 kills is much more achievable, and just carrying a game. So Katarina makes it in at number 7, guys, and ahead of Katarina, if you don't really like these AP assassins, maybe you want a more tankier setup, even a more bruiser setup in the mid lane, then Nocturne is the champion for you. Or maybe you just like scaring your enemies. And what's really great about Nocturne in the mid lane, guys, okay, you have Stridebreaker in there, you've got Steriscage, you've got Guardian's Angel, which are all really strong and make you pretty much impossible to kill. You have some of the best wave clear in the game, and thanks to Riot buffing your cooldown and your ultimate and your Q earlier in the season in 11-2, this means your wave clear is better, so you can just endlessly and obnoxiously shove waves, and then ult around the map so you can take that lead in the mid lane and impress it on everyone else. Now, you can get bullied in the early game, guys, that's for sure. It's like a theme in this video, I think. But you should have enough sustain via your passive to remain healthy enough to hit that level 6 power spike, and you also have really good setup if you're getting a gank, of course, with your E, and if you're getting ganked as well, your W comes in really handy, as does your E as well. So Nocturne comes in at number 6, guys, because of his all-around power, and he's just really hard to kill and beat. Now, the top 5. Now, which 5 champions can be better than all the ones I've mentioned? Well, this first one has been one of the best champions, oh my god, I just said one of the best again, for this entire season, and this is Diana, guys, who recently got buffed by Riot to fit her into the jungle, but she isn't really that good in the jungle anymore, but in the mid lane, she hasn't really changed, she's maintained all of that power. And this is after those nerfs in 11-9, guys, which will nerfs your passive, your armor growth, and your base health regen. But here's the thing, from the 11-8 buffs overall, your passive attack speed has increased, and this is obviously really great for your early game trading in lane, but there's also a new phenomenon here, guys, why Diana is really making it work in the mid lane, especially in higher relos. So you want to be taking Electrocute as your keystone, and then you're taking Shield Bash with Bone Plating in your secondary tree. And the reason Shield Bash, of course, is because of your W, and this rune is just really good at the moment. This is why we're seeing Redemption in the top lane, and then Bone Plating is really good as well, because most of the time in the mid lane, guys, you are going to be going against champions with burst damage. So whether that's a Zed, whether that's a Kiana, a Talon, even a Yone, even a Yasuo who jump onto you, Bone Plating is going to give you that quick survivability you need to then turn a fight around and inflict your own damage. So Diana, once again guys, makes it into this countdown for being a super strong carryable mid laner. Now let's say you don't like playing Nocturne in the mid lane, but you still want a bruiser who can work. Well, how about Lee Sin? And next patch Lee Sin, oh my god, he's getting nerfed bro, one more second in your E, oh, what a shame. Well, this isn't a shame. It doesn't really change anything. Okay, into melee matchups if you're versing a Zed or a Talon, yes, okay, you're not going to have that poke harass that you might have had before, but what else do you have? Well, pretty much everything, right? You have sustain, you still have decent wave clear, you always have kill threat if you land that one Q or if you kick someone, and with your kick as well, you have that gank setup and the disengage you need if you are the one getting ganked as well. And with Gore Drinker in a good spot again, guys, after it got buffed recently, Lee Sin naturally is in a better spot, and next patch, guess what? Black Cleaver is getting buffed too, so you're doing more damage because you're going to be reducing that target's armor. So Conqueror Lee Sin in the mid lane, extremely hard to beat, if not impossible to actually beat, so the blind mug comes in at number 4. Now the top 3 guys, now before we get into the top 3, it is the Jizz's last friendly reminder to check out the GameLeap website. Like I can tell you the picks, I can tell you the champions to play to actually really improve, to learn how to play all these champions guys. You've got to get signed up. Our champion courses, our champion guides, they are the nuts. And they're just waiting, and they're just there waiting for you. Thousands of your summoners have access to them, so why not join the club? Links down below. Now how can we have a League of Legends champions list guys without a Yordle on it? Well, this Yordle is one of the most oppressive champions in the game, and this is Rumble. And the great thing about Rumble guys, in this meta, and I'm really talking about the jungle meta here, you know, you're just full clearing the scuttle crabs, you need priority in your lanes. Well, what does Rumble give you? Priority, right? Like that is it. The early game oppressiveness is so hard to deal with. And even though his passive damage was nerfed last patch, and his passive monster on hit damage is getting nerfed next patch as well, this doesn't really change that much. You're still keeping that 50% attack speed when you overhit, which makes it pretty much impossible for enemy champions to trade with you at any point. And like the other burst mages on this list guys, once you get to Sorcery Shoes and Hexate Rocket Belt, well, you are the second best champion at abusing this combination. So Rumble comes in at number 3. Now we've already had one champion guys who looks as if they were born out of COVID-19, and this runner up to the best champion is Zed. And Zed is so good because of that lethality single target damage with Prowler's Claw and then Serpent's Fang, which is even more useful in this meta because you're going to see more shield with Gargoyle Stoneplate, with tanks coming back, and of course Shurelya's and those enchanter supports. In the mid lane as well, I just talked about Diana using Shield Bash. You've got Diana, you've got Yone as well, you've got Echo with his W, which is a hard matchup for Zed, and this is actually why Zed low-key has one of the highest win rates, especially in higher reloads. You know, he's flying under the radar a little bit, even for Zed. So Zed makes it in as the runner-up, guys. So who is number 1? Well, I said Rumble was the second best abuser of the Sorcerer Shoes and Rocket Belt combo. Well, the best abuser of this combination of items, guys, it's Ahri. And okay, we all know about the magic penetration by now the Rocket Belt is now giving you in its stats and its mythic passive. But what about the active? What about the actual dash it gives you, which then increases your own movement speed? This means for Ahri, if you think about it, you don't have to flash tippers all the time. So really what you were before Rocket Belt became viable, you were pretty much just a flash cooldown. If you don't have your flash up, you can't be good in team fights. Well, now because you have the Rocket Belt dash, you're good whenever you have this active up. This is one of the reasons why Ahri has had one of the highest win rates, if not the highest win rate in the mid lane for some patches now. So Ahri comes in at number 1. The strong laning phase, the damage, the team fight potential with that ultimate, it is off chops at the moment in pretty much every single elo. So get around it. So those are the 15 best mid laners, guys, of next patch 11.11. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Remember to hit that sub button and the notification bell so you don't miss tomorrow's upload. And until then, this has been the Jizz. Peace.